Om Shanti, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Monday workshop series. Today we have with us a special guest speaker, Dr. Kanistha Agarwal. So, Kanistha Ben has been a pediatrician in India. Since she moved to US, she has practicing a lot of doing research, especially in the field of mind, body, and medicine. And she has a lot of other feathers in the cap, which includes she has been taking care of Baba Siagya in Carolina and Georgia. And so one of the main things that she is bringing to today's session is we hear this topic of why does health problems come to yogis, right? And then you might have heard a lot of different variations of it. It is not about why it is coming. It is about when it comes, what do you do about it? You know, like when daddies get illness, there's a lot of service that happens. When Dadi Gulzar had cancer, the whole global hospital came up to Madhuban, and there is a lot of deeper things. There are a lot of deeper things that come up, gets revealed as we go through this drama. But the main point is, how do you handle when these challenging things like cancer and things like that happen? So Dr. Kanishtha has done a lot of research in this topic, interviewed a lot of yogis, Raj yogis who have been practicing. It is not just about like, oh, meditation will help heal your body, but it is more than that. What about Raj Yoga? What practices in Raj Yoga? It is not just like saying, oh, follow Srimad, you will be an angel. Of course, it is true, but what Srimad did they practice? How should be thinking? What should you be thinking? And today's session is about that. So Sister Kanishta is going to share along with her personal experiences and the research that she has done. Without any further ado, I invite Sister Kanishta. Welcome, Kanishta Ben.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Thank you, Brother Harsha. It was nice to be here with the family, and thank you for inviting me. It's always nice to be with the Brahmin family. So today, I will, like Brother said, I'm going to share with you my personal journey and also the experiences of many Raj Yogis who survived cancer. So I will start my presentation by sharing about how my life was before I started my journey, my healing journey. So my healing journey actually started in the year 2000, but before that, my life was in total mess. You know, at that time, I was going through a lot of challenges, physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically. I had many health challenges because, you know, as soon as I got admitted in medical school back in 1994, I had to face many challenges, like that included, you know, leaving the home because I was so comfortable at my home. So leaving home and then going to stay there in the hostel, that was a big challenge. At home, I used to be very happy, very comfortable, tension-free. I did not have to worry about food, and I was free from responsibilities because I was the youngest amongst three sisters. So it was kind of a big transition time for me when I left home for my higher education. And when I was at home, I would rarely get sick. It was very rare for me to get sick. But after I joined the medical school, my sickness started. The reason being, within a month, within a month, when I took admission in medical school, my father passed away. And that was a huge setback for me. I got so sick that I couldn't attend my classes almost for a month. And there was a lot of studies, in medical college, medical school, you have to study a lot. So there was a lot of mental exhaustion. On one hand, mental exhaustion, and on the other hand, I was becoming emotionally very weak. And because of that, that was gradually impacting my physical body. Somehow I was managing, I was studying, and then, by the time when I reached the last year of my medical school, I started developing joint pains. It started from my back and then my knees, also my neck, I have multiple joint pains. And at one point, it so happened that the pain got so worse that I was literally bedridden and I couldn't function anymore. I had series of investigations. I went to so many doctors, but nothing was found. So many scans doctors took, but nothing was found. They only prescribed me pain pills. I thought of trying some alternative treatments like acupressure and Ayurvedic, physical yoga, breathing exercise, everything I tried. So that helped me to some extent. I became functional and I was able to at least complete my 5 years of medical training. But still, my body was not the same as before. I was kind of dragging myself every day to the hospital to see the patients during my internship phase. And I had no clues what had happened to my body because no doctor was able to find what was the cause of my problem, my health problem. So it was in the year 2000 when my healing journey actually began. Because, at that time, BKs had organized a very special event in my medical college auditorium itself. And I attended that meditation session that was organized by them. And a very senior Raja Yogi teacher, she was sitting on the stage, she was conducting meditation. And at that time, I really felt as if, I was transported to a entirely different place, to a healing place, where my body had become so light. I felt as if, I had become bodiless. And at that moment, I did not feel any pain, nothing. I was so light, so happy at that moment. And I was truly enjoying that space. And that gave me a kind of relief, especially after living through so many years of joint pain. That moment was really beautiful moment for me. It was such a huge respite for me. But very soon that session was over and I wanted to experience more and more. So I inquired about how to go about it. And I was told that there is 7-day Raj Yoga meditation course. So I did that. And then I became a regular meditation student from the very beginning. And every single day I would go to the meditation center. And I was very fortunate that the meditation center was very close to my medical school. It was just about 5 minutes drive. So every day I would go there, I would sit and I would talk to myself. I would connect to the being that I am. I would connect to Baba. And then, in that process, as I was taking this journey, the journey had already started. My spiritual journey had already started. And I didn't realize that actually my healing journey also started at the same time. Very soon, I was able to diagnose the cause of my symptoms that I was going through. Because this was always was in my mind, that why I'm having so much of problem, so many pain, so much of pain in my body. So I got many realizations as I was going through. Every day I would go to the center, sit in meditation, and I would get some or the other realization. One realization that I got was that, that I was too much stuck in my own story. I was thinking about, what happened to my life. Oh, I lost my father. how can I live alone without him? And I was kind of missing his presence. I was creating all sorts of unhealthy thoughts at that time. And I was kind of more focused on what I had lost. It was very difficult for me to live without, to even think about that I don't have my father. And I would just keep creating those sad thoughts. Oh, poor me, I'm fatherless. And especially because, during those moments, last moments, I was not able to be by the side of my father because I got too busy with my studies. So I was focusing more and more that I had lost. And in that process, I had actually become my own enemy. I was completely unaware that I was causing so much damage to myself. And I was completely cut off from the truth. I was, in the path of darkness. I had completely forgotten who I originally was. I had completely forgotten my original self. And it was really, during the meditation and after doing the course that I became aware of my true identity as a being of light. I realized that I was completely ignorant. And then, as I realized that I was a being of light, I am a being of light, and that I am a loving being, and I can experience that inner love. I can experience my inner peace. I don't have to depend on anyone for giving me the experience of love, peace, happiness, all that I was missing during that time. So I was able to then understand that the cause of my problem was my own mind. And there was, I began to realize that I was harboring sad feelings that was making the soul, the being, very empty from inside. And I like to call my illness that I was suffering from as an empty being syndrome. Because I was feeling very empty. I was missing, like I said, I was missing my father's love. That time I did not know that I was love myself. But now I was on the path of light. And I realized that, because during that time, I also gained a lot of weight. So I realized that, in order to fill that vacuum that was there inside me, I started eating too much. And that was causing, that actually made me to put on a lot of weight. And that weight was causing a lot of problems with my knee joints. So with meditation, I came to this understanding that that inner emptiness that I was feeling can only be filled if I connect with the true being that I am. And if I fill myself with love, with peace, with joy. And when I was introduced to the ultimate source of love, to Baba, and then when I was told that I can forge a loving relationship with God, and especially as a father, it brought a new awakening within me. I realized that I can have, I can experience that love that I was missing if I connect to God. So every day I would sit in meditation with this aim of absorbing God's love. I would just connect with myself. I will connect with God. And then I was able to fill myself with his pure energy. And I was able to experience the fullness, that emptiness that that emptiness that I was feeling from inside, slowly it started to disappear. And then, I was thrilled to know that I can experience so many different relationships with God, not just the one, but I can have many, many relationships. I can have that experience, those experiences with God. But during that time, my main focus was to experience God as my Father, because that was what I was really, really yearning for during that time. So slowly, I found myself healing, and there was a lot of transformation that happened. I realized that, I was seeing myself, like I said, I was stuck in my own story, and I was seeing myself as a victim. So from that victim consciousness, I was moving towards gaining mastery over my thoughts. And that is what Raj Yoga teaches us, right? In Raja Yoga, in the practice of Raja Yoga, our aim is to conquer our senses, conquer our own mind, conquer our own thoughts. So I saw myself making this shift from victim consciousness to master consciousness. So I was kind of bringing change in the way I was thinking, because that was very important. And that was what went wrong with me. I was not creating good quality thoughts in my mind. My thinking was very negative. And from that negative thinking, I moved towards the quantum thinking. That means, thinking that was really giving me the feeling of happiness, feeling of joy, feeling of peace. And the material that I was getting to create thoughts was coming from the daily Murli that I was listening to. Daily Murli, whenever I would listen to the Murli, I would feel as if, that my father is writing me a love letter. Every single day I'm receiving a letter from my own father. So that was filling me with so much of joy, so much of enthusiasm. And I saw myself, my perception started to change. From distorted perception, my perception was moving towards optimism. I started looking at the bright side of everything, and I saw that my obsession towards food, I was obsessed to eat more and more and more, because, to fill that emptiness, that obsession also was going away. And I was able to have control over my food, control over my thoughts. So a lot of change I was able to experience. I started going to gym, and I started losing weight quite a bit. And that actually impacted my physical body as well. My joint pain started to reduce. I did not have that much of pain. I was able to walk. I was able to function. And there was a remarkable shift in my personality. My personality was so dull because, I was feeling so low. My sluggish personality changed to active personality. And my academic performance also skyrocketed. And I actually was able to secure second position in the state level postgraduate entrance examination for residency at that time. I was myself amazed, how everything was changing. So after completing, 5 years of my medical training, initial medical training, I then enrolled myself for the 3 years of pediatric residency program. It was quite a vigorous training at that time. 32 hours, non-stop shift every third day. But still, at that time, I was able to handle that stress, because even though it was a very busy time in my life, I was able to take out some time to go to the center. Every single day, like I said, I would go to the center, and even if I go for a few minutes, I would go there, I would listen to the Murli, I would absorb the vibrations of that space, and I would be recharged. So I continued, I would like to call this as a spiritual race. I was running the spiritual race that I started about 1 year ago. Within this 1 year, I saw a lot of changes in my life. So I completed my 3 years of residency and then worked in another hospital, which was newly opened. So it was even more strenuous work there. I was taking care of little children, newborns. I worked in neonatal ICU, pediatric ICU. So I worked there, for about 9 months, and continued my spiritual race. So from the year 2000 to the year 2006, January, I was in India. And then in 2006, I moved to US. Initially, I landed in Rochester, Minnesota in the month of January. It was very cold. I saw myself surrounded by snow. But, when I reached there, I came to know that there was no meditation center close by. I was so disappointed because, every day I used to go to the center. And now here I am with no center close by. The only center that was close by was Chicago, and that was about 5 to 6 hours drive from our place. So, I would sit in meditation, and then, I would talk to Baba, and then, my inner voice. And also I felt as if Baba was telling me that now you are here to serve. You got a lot of sustenance when you were in India, but now you have to serve. But at that time, I had no clues how I'm going to serve. But I continued with my daily spiritual practice, daily listening to the Murli, over phone. At that time, there were no online classes like this. The only way to listen to Murli was through phone. And that too, only the essence of the Murli. So I would listen to that, and then I continued with my spiritual practice. So after that, I stayed there for about 1.5 years and then moved to Michigan. And there also, there was no meditation center at that time, but there were few people who were practicing Raj Yoga meditation. So I was, at least, I was able to meet with them and able to really practice meditation with them. So I felt good, at least I got something. And then, but this thing was inside my mind that I have to serve this country. Somehow I have to learn to serve, because I didn't know how to serve, how to give courses in this country. So I went to New York, took teachers training, and I started teaching meditation, and I saw myself spiritually growing. And also, as I was growing, I also got many opportunities where I experimented with Raj Yoga meditation. On myself, the effect of Raj Yoga meditation, I experimented in the sense that, my body was still, something or the other would happen. For example, one time I was climbing down the stairs, and while I was climbing down, I twisted my ankle very badly. And when the doctor took the scan, he told me that, I had mild fracture and I'll need a surgery. For sure, he said. So what happened, I thought that no, I'm not going to have surgery. I'm going to use the practice of meditation to heal myself. So I did intensive meditation for about 3 weeks. And then, after 3 weeks, when I went to see the doctor, he was himself amazed. And he said that you don't need any surgery. And he just referred me for physical therapy. So this is how, I was practicing the healing benefits of meditation, and I became more and more curious. I was becoming to know, how to understand how there is so much of intricate connection between the mind, the body, and the soul. How if I change the way I think and I connect with the being that I'm able to release that energy of healing energy, and I can heal myself. So I wanted to learn more about meditation. And something within me, it was telling me not to pursue conventional medicine and move towards the preventive aspect of healthcare. So I enrolled myself for Master in Public Health. And at that time, again, I thought that let me do something related to Raj Yoga meditation. So I did a quantitative study at that time as part of my thesis during my Master in Public Health to see the effect of Raj Yoga meditation on pain patients. So what I would do, I would go to a pain clinic where many patients would come with, pain in several, parts of their body, back, knee and shoulder, and what I would do, I would ask them if they would be interested in just sitting for meditation, experiencing meditation for a few minutes. So what I would do, whoever would agree, I would take them and I would record their blood pressure, their pulse rate, their pain score before meditation and then after meditation both. And what I found was, just few minutes of meditation, just 10 minutes of meditation. And they did, and that was also, they were not practicing meditation before at all. They were absolutely new to meditation. And they did just 10 minutes, and within 10 minutes, their blood pressure dropped, their pain score reduced. So after getting promising results from my study, I then decided that, yes, definitely I want to learn more about meditation. So, I then moved from Michigan to Hershey, and then to Augusta. So it's a long journey. But to make it short, just I wanted to tell you that I really wanted to, learn more about meditation. And also another thing that happened to me was that I dislocated my shoulder. And again, this was another challenging time for me when I was told that you will need surgery. So that was again another time for me to experiment with Raj Yoga meditation. Again, I did intensive meditation, and again, doctors were surprised. They said, you don't need any shoulder surgery. So with all these experiences, I became more and more curious. And then I decided to pursue a PhD in mind body medicine. And I was fortunate enough, to find an online PhD program in mind body medicine. But that was actually mainly, it was located, the center was located in San Francisco. And this is how my PhD journey began. So I will share with you after, what happened after that. But now I would maybe like to stop for a few minutes to maybe take you to the experience of meditation, if it is okay, with Harsha Bhai.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Yes.
because I've been speaking a lot, so maybe it's a good time to just stop for a few minutes. So I would invite you to take this healing journey with me. Just sit relaxed. And become aware of your true identity. Focus your attention at the center of your forehead and visualize a spark of light here. This is the source of healing energy. Just take a few moments to observe this light. Activate the hidden healing energy with this thought that I am a being of light. I am a being of peace. I am a being of love. I have tremendous power within to heal myself. I have the power to heal my own mind. I have the power to heal my own body. I am a healer. I am a healer. With this elevated awareness, feel the flow of healing energy entering into every cell of your body, refreshing you and re-energizing you. Just stay focused on this thought that you are a metaphysical being of light, animating this body. Continue to experience the flow of healing energy, energy of peace, energy of love, energy of joy. Feel the lightness that this energy is bringing along with it. As you continue to experience this energy, you begin to become very light. In this light moment, now invite Baba, God, into your space, who is the ultimate source of healing energy. Allow yourself to absorb His pure light, His pure light of love, unconditional love. Let there be no emptiness. Fill yourself with His love, peace, and purity. You now begin to feel very full. You are now supercharged. You are now vibrating with the healing energy of divine love, divine peace, and divine bliss. You feel full, you feel happy, you feel contented. Oh, Shanti. So now I will move forward. I'm going to now share with you the study that I conducted as part of my PhD program. Let me share the slide with you. A minute. So like I said before that I was very much interested in studying about the effects of Raj Yoga meditation in not only those who have not been practicing meditation. That I did that study during my MPH program, but I also wanted to learn more about the effect of meditation in those who have already been practicing Raja Yoga. So with that in my mind, I conducted this study in those Raj Yogis who have been practicing this Raj Yoga for a long time before they were diagnosed with cancer. So they were already practicing meditation at the time of cancer diagnosis. So I wanted to know what was that, in their practice that enabled them to handle their cancer with ease. Because, the reason being, why I chose this topic, there are mainly two reasons why I chose cancer survivors as my participants in the study. The first reason was when I was here in US, at that time I had moved from India to US. Within the first couple of years, I was so engrossed, in my own things. I was kind of disconnected with my family back in India. And I came to know that my sister was diagnosed with cancer. And everything happened very quickly. And she actually passed away very, very, very fast. I was not able to go there to see her. She kept calling me, but there were some legal issues, visa issues. So I was not able to go. So she left me, and she was like my mother, and she had, she really helped me a lot, even in getting entry into my medical school. She played a very important role in my life. So I always had this thought that I wanted to pay tribute to her. I wanted to do something, because I was not able to do anything for her. So I wanted to do something for cancer survivors. So that was one reason. And another reason was, I used to visit Peace Village during those times very frequently. Now also I visit, but not that frequently. But those times I used to visit Peace Village very frequently. So one time when I was visiting Peace Village, there was one very senior Raj Yogi. She had come from India, and she was suffering from cancer. She had a very advanced form of cancer. But still, what I saw, that she was conducting all the classes, Murli classes, lectures. She was always, cheerful, and no one could say from her face that she had cancer. Only because she was looking very thin, very fragile, maybe the thought would come that, maybe something is wrong with her body. Besides that, no one could say anything that she had. No one could even think that she had cancer. So when I saw her, I always was curious that maybe she must be doing something, some practice that was allowing her to be so active and to be so functional. So that was another reason I, chose cancer survivors as my participants in this study. Okay, so I conducted this qualitative study, because I wanted to really gather the spiritual experiences from these Raj Yogis. So the type of study that I conducted was interpretative, phenomenological study. And there are two words here to make it easy. I just wanted to tell you a few things about this study. Phenomenology is actually, it is a study that is used to describe human experience of a particular phenomenon. And in my case, I chose cancer. And I wanted to, interpretative means this study actually allowed me to interpret the experiences of participants. Yeah. So that's why I chose this method, because, that way I was able to even put my interpretation after hearing their experiences. So the purpose of this study was to explore and to understand their spiritual experiences. It is called as lived spiritual experience. It's a kind of different term used here, but this term is used basically to describe, the experiences of those people who really went through real experiences in their lives. As they were living, they had real experiences. That's why they use this term, lived experiences. So in my study, I started my study in the beginning. I did a pilot study with 3 participants, because this is quite an extensive study. So the criteria of this methodology is that you need to take only few participants in your study, so that you can study, in a kind of very unlimited, or maybe very extensively. You can study the participants in a very extensive way. So that's why I chose only few participants. In the beginning, I took only 3, and then in the dissertation I took 6 participants. So I interviewed them in 3 phases, and as I interviewed them, I audio recorded their interviews and then transcribed. I then, after transcription, I read and then reread. So it was quite a laborious work, but because it was very interesting, I was very curious, so that did not feel like as if I was doing any kind of labor or anything. So after listening to their experiences and writing, I then developed a few themes from this study. So I'm going to share with you these themes, and then I will go over these themes one by one. Okay, so the main themes that came up from my study, the first one was about being stable, mental stability and clarity. That was the first one. Then the spiritual connection and self-empowerment, then the personal relationship with God, then their empowering support systems, then mind, body, soul healing practices, positive health outcomes, and post-cancer spiritual growth. So I will go over these one by one. So to start off with, the first one. Yeah. But even before I go into talking about their stability, I would like to tell you that, usually when a person is diagnosed with cancer, what is the normal response? What is the usual response? So this was a model that was described by Kubler-Ross, grief cycle. So what happens, the moment a person is diagnosed with cancer or, any life-threatening condition, the first response is usually denial. That means the person will not be ready to accept that, yes, I'm having this particular illness. Person will try to avoid. Person will come into actually, go through shock. Person will have a lot of fear. Yeah. And then the next stage will be, there will be a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, anxiety, worry, irritability. All these symptoms will be there. And then the person will try to bargain, try to find the meaning, why only me? All those questions will come. Person will try to bargain with life. And then, there will be lot of depression. Person will create many sad thoughts, and then extreme level of sadness will lead to depression. Person will lose hope. Yeah. Person will feel helpless. Yeah. How my life is going to be, it's no more going to be the same. So these things will, come in the mind. And then, after that, after the person goes through depression, all these phases, then person will come to a place to accept. So you see the cycle, how much time, how much energy, how many thoughts person will waste in reaching to that place where person is able to accept. Because see, unless there is acceptance, person will not able to plan anything. Yeah. So it's very important to accept, first of all, that yes, I have this particular condition. So I need to plan. I need to move forward. I need to plan for my treatment. Yeah. So this is the usual response in most of the people. Yeah. For some, they take maybe a long time, and for some, they reach there fast. Yeah. But it does happen. But what I found in my study, that these participants, they did not have to go through this cycle at all. There was no depression, there was no confusion, there was no fear, there was no anger, there was no anxiety, nothing. They were able to accept the cancer diagnosis with ease. So I'm going to share with you some of the definitions that I came up with about these themes. And also, I'll share with you what these participants said as I was interviewing. Their quotes I'll be sharing with you. So I defined easy acceptance as the ability to receive the news of cancer diagnosis without any denial and being able to move forward without any further delay in treatment. So you see, one participant said, I did not go into denial. I did not deny when I saw the results. And another participant said, the diagnosis was not a fearful news. It was very easy. It was not even a question of acceptance. It was just natural. It was as if someone calling and saying to me, you know what? You have high blood pressure, you have cholesterol. So I did not feel it was a big deal. Absolutely no fear in my thoughts. Yeah. So that was the sharing that I got from the participants. Then the next sub-theme was about inner stability, which I defined as the ability to maintain inner calmness and lightness amidst adverse surroundings without getting influenced by the things from the external world. So the participants said, that my daily spiritual practices helped me to stay calm in that situation. I did not think it was a desperate circumstance. So see, the thoughts that they were creating, thought was so powerful that they were able to maintain the calmness. So another participant said, I know this fact that people go through the stages of depression, feel very sad and lonely and all of that, but through the practice of meditation, it gave me so much inner power, inner strength. So the powers that they were receiving from the practice of Raj Yoga that helped them to maintain that inner stability. And then, their perception towards their disease was also very positive. So positive perception is the ability to see only positive in everything, irrespective of the intensity and severity of the situation one is in. So participants said that when I was told that I had cancer, it had no effect on me whatsoever, no emotional effect. That was just another normal day when you were told that you got a little bit of cough. You need to take the medicine to get it fixed, and that is all. So see how she was perceiving her cancer diagnosis as just a mild respiratory tract infection. Yeah, her perception was so positive. And then, participants were also very open-minded. That means they were open to all kinds of treatment. Yeah, so open-mindedness means the ability to keep the door of the mind open to embrace new strategies to gain optimum level of well-being. So participants said that I tried every non-conventional treatment there was. Actually, the one that worked for me was the raw food diet, and I stayed on the raw food diet for 9 months. Yeah, so they were able to take all sorts of treatment, conventional treatment. Also, at the same time, they were open to other kinds of alternative treatments. So now I would like to take you through this reflective exercise. After listening to this sharing from these participants, maybe you can take a moment to reflect on a few questions. Just visualize, as if you or your dear ones are getting this, maybe a diagnosis of some illness that is life-threatening. Just take a few moments to bring that situation in front of you and see how you are responding. What are the thoughts that are coming in your mind? Is it easy for you to accept the diagnosis? How stable you are in your mind? What are the feelings that you are generating at that moment? Just reflect on this. Om Shanti. So you can practice this exercise, and you can do this as, as a checking mechanism to see how strong you have become through the practice of Raj Yoga meditation, because all of you are meditation practitioners, right? So this is a good exercise, for you to put yourself in that situation and to check. Because see, health challenge, everyone is going to have this health challenge, some or the other kind of health challenge. But we have to see where we are. Yeah. And we have to grow. Every time we are meditating, that growth should happen. Yeah. Okay. So now I'm going to move forward with the second theme, that is about the spiritual connection and self-empowerment. The spiritual beliefs, all these participants, they had this spiritual beliefs. And what are spiritual beliefs? They are the thoughts and ideas related to one's core self, which are wholeheartedly accepted as true and genuine without any iota of doubt, and which become firmer and stronger with practice. So the participants were practicing, connecting with the self. So they shared that my spiritual practice gives me a firm belief that I am not this body, The body is a useful instrument, but it may need repairs. Yeah. So they were able to see their body as an instrument. So they were able to identify themselves with the being that they are, not the body. Yeah. So see, now this participant said, I no longer see the body as the part of who we are, but only a vehicle that we are using to get our job done. So we actually separate from that physical attachment to the body, and it's like having a car that needs to be repaired, but you still love the car because you need to use it, and you have been using that car for a long time. So this participant said that, my body was just there for service repair. Yeah, I just parked my body, parked my car. But I was not the car. I was a being. So she was not affected at all. Yeah, and then the participant said that there is always a clear distinction made between a soul and a body in Raja Yoga. The soul is the ruler of the body, and it is just a body. I am a soul. The last statement was very profound. A soul does not have cancer. So this was very firmly, very firm belief in all of them that I am a soul, I am an immortal being. Soul cannot have cancer. The body can have cancer, but soul is immortal. So they were connected to the pure part of themselves. So that's why they were not affected by what was happening to their bodies. Yeah. So they were actually practicing what we call as soul consciousness. Yeah. So then the third one is about personal relationship with God. Because in the practice of Raj Yoga, we not only connect with ourselves, but also we learn how to connect with the Supreme, with Baba. So they were all had personal relationship with God, and how they were using that relationship to heal themselves. They shared that, God as a companion. So this participant said that I would literally have these thoughts of exchange with my buddy, and he would help me through some of the rough times of whatever on the roller coaster of life he was experiencing. So he made God as a companion, and he felt that friendship with God was helping him handle that tough situation he was in. And then, they also had a dialogue with God. So this participant said that in my meditation, I talked to the Creator, I talked to God, and amazingly, I was getting with such rich relationship in my meditation. It gave me so much power to take me through the whole journey without any difficulty at all. So dialogue also helped a lot. Yeah. And then trusting and surrendering to God. Participants said that I just let go of everything and said, okay, I'm in your hands. And she was laughing at that time. I became very, very light. From that day until today, never I had any kind of negative experience of depression, thoughts of what if, this can happen. I just let it go. So no negative thoughts, no unnecessary thoughts. Yeah. We surrendered everything to Baba. So they were very light. Yeah. And then God as a protector. So they felt the protection, coming from God, especially at the time of treatment. So this participant, when she was going through her chemo and radiation, so what she said, that I gave myself this instruction that this radiation is entirely beneficial. And I put myself in the state of meditation during that. She would lie there and just be connected to the higher source, the true healing light of God, and let the signs to respond. So she felt, that protection coming to her. And then another participant said, she really felt God as comforter. He said that, I never see chemo as toxin, but I could see myself in front of Baba, and I go and then lie down in Baba's lap. He was holding my hand, and this was kind of funny. One participant said that Baba was my morphine. He took away my pain. Baba is my morphine. So she used Baba as her pain reliever. Yeah. So now the next one is about the different mind, body, soul healing practices that these participants used. Yeah. So the first one was about the thoughts. They were very attentive about the kind of thoughts that they were generating. Yeah. So they were harnessing the healing power of spiritual thoughts. For example, this participant shared that there are cancer cells which are destroying healthy cells. And so if you have negative thoughts about it, you are going to have negative thought cells that destroy the healthy thought cells. And then your mind becomes messed up. So they were very careful not to create any negative thoughts because they knew the consequences of creating unhealthy thoughts. They knew that it's going to make their condition worse. So they were very vigilant. So this was one practice of watching their thoughts very carefully. And then the second one was detachment. Yeah, the practice of detachment. Yeah. So, like this participant shared, we no longer see the body as the part of who we are, but only a vehicle that we are using to get our job done. So we actually separate from that physical attachment to the body. And it's like having a car that needs to be repaired, but you still love the car because you need to use it. Yeah, so this was important. They were taking care of the body as well. It was not like they were detached, so they were not at all concerned about what was happening to the body. But they were using the practice of detachment to keep themselves very stable. Yeah. So they were very vigilant about focusing on who they truly were. Soul consciousness. That was a very important practice that all the participants shared about, that they were truly, truly connected to the being that they were. Yeah, so like this participant said, I am this element of light, which is not connected to the body, but I can give the power of the rays of light that I have connected to the Supreme with that experience. So soul consciousness was a very important practice. And then the next one was the visualization. Visualization, they visualize themselves as a being of light, and also they visualize the rays coming from Baba, the true connection and also true relationship with Baba. So they use the tool of visualization. It's like this participant said that instead of thinking it was poison going on my arm, I would think it's spiritual light and power entering my arm and filling me with spiritual strength. So we actually become master over matter and we can play with it. We can make it into entertaining. So they were actually entertaining themselves during chemotherapy. They were not at all depressed, but they were really enjoying. Then the next one is about the silence. Silence was another important tool that they used to keep themselves very stable. So like we said, that it has convinced me until today that if I spend more time, extra time in silence and meditation, I quieten my mind, then I can open up in receiving guidance and you then know exactly what has to be done. So they were able to know what action they need to take because they were spending more and more time in that quietness, in that silence. Yeah. So that was the fourth theme. Fifth one is about the empowering support systems. All of them, they really felt supported. The first support that they experienced was from God, healing support from God. So like, one participant said, I automatically was supported by that eternal light of divine intelligence and all virtues and powers, abilities that I can receive from God over time during meditation. So they really felt a lot of support from God. And then daily spiritual education through Murlis. So no one missed even Murli for one single day. They felt so much support. Like they said that I feel I can extract the strength of what I'm reading. So that was the main source of that support and strength to keep me going, to be strong and healthy in a way. Yeah. And then healing support from healthcare personnel, because their energy they kept their energy so pure. So they were able to receive a lot of support from healthcare professionals as well. So many of them, all of them almost shared that on one side, like this participant shared, on one side I had cancer, on other side I was in such beautiful hands, powerful hands. So she was sharing about the surgeon who operated her. Yeah, and then the next one is about the environment that they were in. So they were most of them were living in the centers, and some of them were visiting centers every single day. So it was like being in the most ideal environment to support your total overall wellness. The energy of the place is beyond anyone's expectation. So they were catching the pure vibrations from the environment as well. That was a big support for them. And then support from spiritual family. They got a lot of support from, like this participant said, that someone called and said that Dadi Janki, all of you must be aware of Dadi Janki. She was the chief of Brahma Kumaris. So someone said that Dadi Janki wants to talk to you, and I don't remember the wordings, but she said, call me every day. So, we were calling her every day from the hospital, and she was taking the call. So in spite of being so busy, the chief of the organization, see, she was so caring, and she was receiving the call every single day to give the support. Yeah. So this was about the support system that they experienced. And the sixth one is about the positive health outcomes as a result of their practice of meditation. They were able to maintain the same spiritual routine, even though they were going through so many different types of treatments, but they were never absent from any of the routines. They continued with their daily routines. So I was also able to access that regular spiritual class that we have every morning. So every morning I would be reading that anyway. Meditation I can do while I was sitting on the chair a few hours, having the chemo. Yeah. So even during chemo, they were in that meditative state. And then fast recovery. They were able to recover very fast. Yeah, like this participant was amazing. What he shared, that I always feel the blessing coming from the spiritual family, although it was incognito, but that gives me quick recovery. I can see the recovery was very quick. After 2 weeks, I had to go for a job. So I started my work. I was taking train. I was going in the train to my job after 2 weeks. He had surgery. This patient was Actually, this participant had colon cancer, and he had his surgery, he had his chemo, and and he started working. He would commute about an hour every single day, and then he would come back, and then he would have his chemo again. Next day he would go and get for his job, go to his job. So it was amazing to hear his story. And the last one is about the growth, the spiritual growth that each participant shared. They felt that they grew during this process, during their cancer journey. They really, in psychology, actually, they used one term that they call as post-traumatic stress disorder. You must have heard this word, post-traumatic stress disorder. What it means is that, when there is a trauma, any kind of trauma, like people when they go in war zone, or maybe trauma due to abuse or anything like that, people keep, rethinking and revisiting the same scenes over and over. And because of that, those memories, they bring those memories back. And because of those memories, they kind of experience many distressing symptoms in their bodies, like anxiety, insomnia, all these, distressing symptoms they have. So that is called as post-traumatic stress disorder. But then, recently what they found that along with trauma, some of them also experience post-traumatic spiritual growth. Because of trauma, some of them experienced growth as well. But, in my study, I named post-traumatic spiritual growth as post-cancer spiritual growth, because none of my participants perceived cancer to be trauma. It was not trauma for any of them. So that's why I named it as post-cancer spiritual growth. And all of them shared that how beautifully they grew. So I'll share with you some of their sharings. Like, I got a call in the morning at 4 o'clock that, can you be here at 6 o'clock? I said, okay, because they forgot that I had chemo. They called me. I said, okay. I did not say no. I have a therapy. I can't come. I still went. And they looked at me and they said, oh, you have come. I said, you called me, but then maybe they were thinking internally not to make a call, but that is the support we have with the family. So because of cancer, this participant was able to serve in such a beautiful way. Although he was going through chemo, but he got ready to give a ride to someone who was wanting a ride, to the center. So he became an altruistic server. And then also they became an inspirational model for others. Yes, like this one was sharing, that if you ask the people I was living with, they will tell you, I would be in the kitchen, I would be helping, I would be doing many things. I feel it was coming more from mental energy, spiritual energy, for me to inspire me that I'm doing all this stuff that I need to do and be normal. I mean, no one would know that I was going through the treatment unless I told them. So she was busy cooking, moving around, she was doing everything. So she was like an inspirational model for everyone. So this is how she grew spiritually. In spite of going through so much, she was able to serve in such a beautiful way. And then, they also got many realizations. Like, here you see this sharing. This being came in front of me in terms of an experience. I have this very, very powerful energy. It made me realize that I haven't in the past properly utilized him that much. Time was giving me such beautiful experiences, taking me through this journey. This was not a human experience. This experience was nothing to do with any human being. I realized that this was what I wanted, and this was what I should experience more with, and there will always be success. So she was pointing towards silence. So she got this realization that I should spend more and more time in silence. And she did that, and she grew beautifully, when she was experimenting with silence. And then they also started leading a more virtuous life. Like, some of them said, I can actually be more empathetic to other people. So their virtues also, they saw themselves, that their virtues were growing. They were becoming more empathetic, more understanding, more compassionate. Hmm? And another one said that I am more aware that I must not give sorrow to anyone. So this is a very important teachings in the practice of Raja Yoga that we learn, that we should not give sorrow to anyone. We should not take sorrow from anyone. So she got this. She was more aware of this, that I should not give sorrow to anyone. I must endeavor to stop holding on to sorrow. That has become more pronounced for me. And if for any reason I speak to someone without kindness or without virtues, I will go and say sorry. So she was becoming more and more humble because of her illness. Yeah. So these were all the 7 themes that I found in my study. And this study also, if you want to read more about this study, the paper was published recently. The pilot study was actually published in 2020, and the dissertation study was published recently in 2022. So you can go online and you can study about these two if you want to know more about it. Okay, I think with this, I will end. If you have any questions, you can ask, or maybe Harsha bhai, what would you like to do now?
Om Shanti, everyone. So, my question is like when Sister said she went through intense meditation when it's required, then so when you say intense meditation, how many hours and what exactly you were doing? You were doing it at one go? Like, what is intense meditation?
Yeah, so that's a good question, actually. Intense meditation, in the practice of Raj Yoga, like we learn that, the meditation that we practice is not like, just few minutes of meditation, sitting and just connecting with the self, connecting with Baba and for a few minutes and so on. But our meditation is 24-hour meditation, right? Because we have to be aware of who we are, and we have to stay combined with that supreme energy, Baba, all the time. So we have to keep practicing this, and all of these participants were practicing. They were already into this practice, but when I said intense meditation, they were kind of more accurate in whatever they were doing. For example, when they were sitting in Amrit Vela, they were more observant and they were focused on the quality of their Amrit Vela, the quality of meditation, whether they were focused properly or not. And also, they were, yes, of course, one participant did say that she spent more time during Amrit Vela. Instead of waking up at 4 o'clock, she would wake up at 2 o'clock. So she also, increased the meditation time, duration also increased, but at the same time, the quality of meditation also, they were paying more attention into it. So both the quality and the quantity. Yes, definitely they did that.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? So, Kanishta, when I have a question around how do you measure the health? Like, do you take the vital signs like blood pressure and stuff like that? Or is it like before meditation, it is like this, after meditation, your health vital signs are like this? And how do we measure things like this?
Yeah, so I was using blood pressure cuff to measure their temperature and pulse rate. So that was a quantitative study that I conducted during my MPH program. So I did statistical analysis also. So all those, studies, I took the help of statistician to know, what significant difference was there before and after, pre and post. So I conducted, that kind of study during that time. And that was actually in 50 patients. I tested 50 patients. So that was a good number. So that's why I had to take help from statistician as well.
Yeah, it's very powerful realization. And so once we take it a little further, once we realize that, oh, this is the benefits of meditation, this is how we should meditate, and things like that. But after a certain point, uh, like Baba says, that the essence of whole gyan is to remember.
Yeah.
So we remember that we experienced. What we have experienced is what we can remember, right? So can you share some of your personal experiences that uh, when intellect will not serve any further, for example, concepts and gyan will not work any further. After a point, gyan goes out the window. So it is the memory of that deep experiences that we had with dadis, deep experience that we had with Baba, deep experience that we had in our personal meditations, that that memory, that uh, awakened memory, that realization uh, brings that experience back, brings that energy back, that keeps us going. Can you share some of those experiences that you had? You always fall back on, or some of those experiences.
Yeah. So see, Baba tells us, that whatever Baba is teaching us, we have to make that as our natural experience. Everything has to become natural for us. When we you know, keep practicing the knowledge points that we get from every day's Murli, when we put them into practice, the more we put into practice, the more it becomes natural for us. And when anything becomes natural, then you don't even have to think about it. You don't even have to remember. For example, if you're driving your car from one place to another, you're taking the same route every single day, then you don't have to use your mind. Your hand automatically will go, in that direction. You turn right, you turn left. You don't have to think. Yeah. That I need to use my hand to move in this direction or that direction. So similarly, a point will come when you don't even have to think that I am a soul. It becomes kind of natural for us. And that is where Baba wants us to go. And I have this experience, one time I was returning, when I was in Michigan, I was returning from the center after giving course. And I was in a car, and just few minutes of driving the car, I was standing at the red light. And at that time, I was really feeling very light. I was not thinking about knowledge, but I was in that experience of lightness. And what happened? That was Christmas Eve. Another car came and hit from behind. So the entire car was kind of, it rotated 360 degrees and hit another car, another van. But in that moment, I felt as if I was swinging, I did not feel anything like any panicking or anything like that was not there, because I was into that experience and I did not even have to use my mind to think that I am a being of light. I was in that experience. So I was able to handle that situation with so much of lightness. And this is what Baba is asking us to practice. You become an embodiment of knowledge to such an extent that when situations like this, and it was all of a sudden, situations are going to come all of a sudden. Situations are not going to tell that I'm coming. It's going to come all of a sudden. So we have to be ever ready. And this is what, we all have to practice. Being in that moment, being light, being with Baba. And that really I experienced at that moment.
It's so beautiful, like what you shared. That's the ideal state to be, that you're not even practicing, but you're already there.
Yeah.
I think you're coming close to Karmatit stage. So
No. It's not like that. I was fortunate enough, lucky enough that, I was just coming after finishing the course, and I was with Baba at that moment. It was just few minutes I finished the course. So Baba was with me. Maybe if I was in a different setup, or maybe, I would not have been in that state. But that was the right moment, that accident happened. But we have to be ever ready. That's what Baba is actually asking us to practice.
that's true. And especially when Baba says like long periods of practice,
Yeah.
long periods of practice. And then as you come closer to the end, Adi so ant, like whatever visions and all this elevated experiences, like Charlie Bay was here, and he was emphasizing again and again, you know, we haven't seen the best yet of the confluence stage. The best is yet to come. And I think that you're giving the glimpse of that, like as we naturally stay in our perfect stage sthiti, that all of this beautiful experiences will start revealing to ourselves.
Yeah. And this is how we will reveal Baba also.
Definitely. Yeah, people want to witness something, and it is easy more than witnessing. When they experience for themselves in the
Right.
presence of people who they grew up with, they're surrounded by, it will be the most elevated time. Yeah, of course destruction will happen, it's a cleanup process, but best times are yet to come, like Charlie Boy says. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Unless anyone have any questions or comments, Sangamitra, anyone, feel free to unmute yourself, and otherwise Kanishta Ben, if you can take us to your best Madhuban place or best meditation place, and then we can have a short meditation.
Sure. Okay, so let's together see ourselves in our best and most elevated form. We all are on a beautiful spiritual journey. And the beauty of this journey is that we are not alone. We all are together. And Baba is our guide. Baba is guiding us towards the ultimate destination. So see yourself holding Baba's hand and flying with great joy and enthusiasm as an angel, as a being of light. You have grown so beautifully that you are flying with Baba. Going home with Baba. experiencing a sense of liberation, a sense of joy. This is the time to fly, and we all are together flying as angelic beings. Oh, Shanti.